everyone. I am so glad to be here with you today. We are diving into another episode of the Wealthy Boss Show, and tonight's topic is especially near and dear to my heart because it starts to address some of the underlying concerns and myths that we believe as busy professionals and entrepreneurs with a lot on our plate that we are often using as an excuse to hold ourselves back from getting healthy. So today we are talking about how I believe that if you can get organized, you sure as heck can get healthy. So it is my opinion that willpower gets way too much credit when it comes to the journey of being healthy. We blame everything on willpower. Oh, I just don't have enough willpower to stay on track with my nutrition. Or, hey, I just need to be more motivated and then I would be consistent with working out. When in actuality, what we often attribute as being the job of willpower really is more of a function of being organized. Now, the really cool thing about this is that you can always up your organizational skills. Chances are you're already learning how to build organizational skills in your business because that's such an important piece of being an entrepreneur and being efficient. So if you can learn how to harness and translate those organizational skills that you're already working on in your business into behavior changes around being healthy, you are automatically going to be so much more likely to achieve your fitness goals. So tonight I want to talk in terms of being organized in 3 different areas. Being organized in your goals, being organized with your time, and then being organized with your environment. And you can bet I have a fantastic resource at the end to help you get started right away with a really practical, actionable, right away steps so that you can get more organized with your health. Okay, so let's talk about first getting organized with your goals. And there's a reason that I'm putting this first, because if we are not clear on what specific behavior we're going to change, how the heck are we going to change it? So too often, especially when it comes to being healthy and really having the body and those habits that we dream of, I see way too many people be super generic about this intention. So if someone maybe just steps on the scale and they don't like what they see, or their clothes are getting too tight, or maybe they go to a doctor's appointment and the numbers from the panels reveal that they're not quite on track with where they should be, often the next step then is just to say, well, I'm just going to do better and suddenly try to tackle, lots of behaviors at once. And the problem with this is we don't get super clear about what behaviors are okay and what behaviors are off limits. So the brain doesn't do very well with ambiguity. When it comes to habit formation, the brain really likes to have clear, well-defined goals that it knows are black and white. Now, when it comes to being healthy, that's very vague, right? That's very general. And everything, every action, every behavior, it does not always fall into this camp of either being healthy or unhealthy. In fact, there's a whole range of healthy behaviors within any one specific focus of becoming healthy, whether that's exercise or nutrition or sleep or stress management. It's not just that you're going to be healthy with your exercise habits or not that you're only going to eat healthy or you're not. What does that look like? Does being healthy in your nutrition mean that you're never eating a piece of chocolate again? Does it mean that you're not eating carbohydrates? Or does it mean that you can eat maybe whole grains? Or maybe you're eating whole grains 80% of the time and just reaching for those simple carbohydrates twice a week. Maybe it means drinking 8 glasses of water a day. Maybe it means drinking 10 glasses of water a day. Maybe it means getting 8 hours of sleep. But is 7 okay? Is 7 unhealthy or is 7 hours healthy if you're sleeping 5 hours? So you see what I mean? Every decision that we make around our health has this whole spectrum, this whole range of what it means to be healthy. So to just try harder and just say that we're all of a sudden going to be healthy isn't really that helpful, because when you get into the nitty gritty and the ebbs and flows of everyday life, you have to know whether or not you're being successful. And if your intention is just to be healthier, how the heck do you know whether or not you've achieved that goal? So the first thing that we need to do is we need to get organized with our goals by setting clear, specific, measurable goals. So this is one of the first things that I have my students do in the Boss Body system, is they define specifically what their objectives are, and then what behaviors are going to support that objective. So you need to get very specific, and I do recommend not taking on a ton of behavioral changes at once. Pick a few goals that are going to get you closest to the outcomes that are most important to you. There are a lot of reasons to want to get healthy, right? So if we can identify the ones that are most important to us, and then pick specific behaviors that are going to support that goal and be in line with our schedule, something we can actually manage, which is something that we're going to talk about in our next point, then we're much more likely to actually set ourselves up for success. Okay, so once we've identified and gotten organized with what those clear, specific goals are, and only at that point are we going to move on to becoming organized with our time. Now, of course, this is a big one, and not just something that's applicable to our health, but as you know, that's a daily battle for being organized in regards to time, as it relates to our business, as it relates to our family, as it relates to just about anything else. This is one of the most difficult things to become organized with, but we can do it. We can do it in small increments. It's always something we can do better with. And again, the awesome news is if you are already learning how to be organized with your time in regards to your business, we are just going to take those same concepts, stack them, overlay them on top of how you spend time on healthy habits. And we're again going to rely more on being organized than on being super self-disciplined or super controlled. When you're really organized and you stack the deck in your favor, which is a term I stole from Sean Stevenson, which is a fabulous health coach. When you stack the deck in your favor and you're controlling your time and in your environment, and those things support your goals, guess what? You don't really have to have a lot of willpower, because being healthy actually becomes the easiest thing to do. All right, so let's look at some specific examples of how we can best organize our time in ways that support our specific health goals. So let's say you're trying to become more consistent with working out. And obviously we know becoming more consistent with working out is not actually a very clear goal. So let's say that your specific behavioral goal around exercise is to work out for 3 times a week. And maybe you set a certain amount of time on that. Maybe you don't. It's up to you to decide how specific to get with that. Okay, so you need to look at a variety of things based on your specific schedule and those things that tend to pop up and steal your time. So maybe for you, this means, arranging childcare schedule with your spouse, or looking at times when the kids are going to be at school and managing your workouts during that time, during the time that you're most likely to be able to get it done. Maybe if you are a group class junkie and you love taking group classes at your local gym or a boutique fitness studio, well, you definitely have to look at what class schedules are for those facilities and be able to work backwards to plan to attend during those times. Or maybe it just means setting your alarm 20 minutes earlier every morning, or Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, if you're looking to work out 3 times a week, and being able to protect that time for you to do, say, one of the Boss Body System workout videos. So that's just one example of ways to get organized with your time for supporting an exercise habit. Maybe it's your nutrition that you're trying to get more in control of, and based on whatever those specific nutrition goals are, it's very important for you to have a plan about what you're going to eat before you become hungry. If you don't plan ahead with your nutrition, this is where you're really going to get messed up. Typically, the healthy choices are not the most convenient choices unless we've set up our time such that we are prepared. Whether that means knowing which healthy restaurants are going to be on the way home from work, or what healthy options are going to be at the airport when we're commuting and being held over for maybe going on our way to a conference. So we've got to be organized with our time before that time actually comes into play. Maybe being more organized with your time in regards to nutrition means doing meal planning, maybe setting aside time to meal plan, setting aside time to grocery shop so that you have those healthy things available. And I'm going to talk real specifically at the end about some resources that I have for getting super organized with your meal planning so that you're wasting less time and you're managing that time incredibly effectively. Okay. Finally, we want to talk about organizing our environment. So we're organizing our goals. We know what behaviors we're trying to control. We've backed out into looking at how our schedule aligns with those goals so that we're prepared and most likely to actually be able to implement and execute those goals. We also have to be mindful of having the right environment in place to carry out those goals. So maybe this for you means making sure, if you plan to work out at home 3 times a week, that you have the equipment that you need. Maybe you need a set of 3 different sizes of weights. Maybe that means that you need to get a yoga mat. Maybe that means that you need to have your go-to workout videos ready and that you have a plan for that. Maybe it means that you need to pack a gym bag the night before, and maybe that you even buy a gym bag. Maybe you don't have that duffel bag, and maybe you head out, maybe you have a business, a brick and mortar business, and you know that you're going to have that gym bag packed. You're going to have those shower wipes. You're going to have that travel shampoo that tucks nicely into that side pocket of your gym bag. You're going to need all those things in order to be most likely to want to go to the gym and then get on with your day. Other examples of being organized with your environment, maybe your goal is to drink more water. So one, you have to have a really good water bottle that you carry around with you at all times. Maybe you need to set up an app on your phone, like the water tracker app, so you have that built-in accountability to prompt you and remind you in that physical environment to pop up and remind you to drink more water throughout the day. Maybe your healthy behavior goal is around getting more quality sleep. Well, in order to back that out and make that a reality, maybe you've got to invest in going on Amazon and finding some blackout curtains that will take out some of that light that's interfering with your melatonin levels. Or maybe buying a sleep mask so you can pack that in your suitcase when you're going away for conferences. I'm on this big conference kick because I just got back from a conference, so I keep thinking of examples where you might be traveling for your business or for work. So yeah, again, I'm kind of on that conference kick. Maybe for supporting a nutrition goal and wanting to cook at home more often so that you have healthy options available instead of waiting until you're starving and going through the drive-through. Maybe first that means you have to invest in the right kitchen gear. So I love cooking in bulk, and I'm going to get into a lot more detail with this in the next coming days as to why I love that so much, so stay tuned. But for me, this means I had to buy a big soup pot that's really, really big, and it can accommodate the quantities that I needed to say, make a batch of soup that's going to last me for the next 2 months. So for you, that might mean outfitting your kitchen, or it might just mean knowing exactly what to put into your fridge so that you have those healthy options available. So just to recap then, we have dispelled the myth that willpower gets all the credit when it comes to establishing healthier habits. We talked about the importance of becoming organized with our goals by setting super specific, clear, black and white behavioral goals, and not too many at once. We want to start, of course, with something manageable. And then from there, of course, we have to square that and reconcile that with our time and our schedule, and basically plan ahead. no one becomes healthy on accident. No one becomes healthy, just on a whim. You've got to plan for these things. So we talked about being organized with our time. And then finally, we talked about being organized with our environment, setting ourselves up for success, getting those physical cues around us that could make or break our likelihood of actually executing that specific behavior that we committed to in the beginning. All right, so I promised you some really helpful resources for getting more organized when it comes to some of your healthy behaviors. So I have an upcoming training that I'm super excited about that is going to help you get very organized with your nutrition, and more specifically, doing that by regulating the environment around you to always have access to healthy, nourishing, quick meals. So I'm talking about meal planning. I love starting with this. If you're not quite sure what healthy behavior to start with, nutrition is a fantastic place to start with getting healthier. Because if weight loss is important to you, there's a lot of other reasons to care about having good nutrition that have nothing to do with how you look. But if that is important to you, we want to look at our 80-20% rule, the Pareto principle. And we know from science that working on our nutrition and controlling what goes into our body accounts for about 80% of what our body composition is. And our body composition is just a fancy term for saying how much fat we have on our frame versus how much lean muscle. And so 80% of that is determined by what we put in our mouths. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this. I won't get into all of them, but just know right off the bat that working on what you put in your body is a fantastic place to start, especially if weight loss is a goal for you. So nutrition, awesome. Great place to start. Now, a great place to start with nutrition is cooking at home, because studies show that people who cook at home automatically eat more healthfully. They eat fewer calories, fewer simple carbohydrates, and less sugar and less saturated fat than those who eat out a lot. And that's without even trying. So if you're trying on top of that, then you're just so much more likely to be successful. But let's face it, meal planning can kind of be a pain in the butt. So I have developed this system that I'm super excited to talk about. I have my meal planning mastery system, which helps you automate your healthy meal planning process. So again, we're treating this just like we treat a project in our business. We are finding systems and processes. So just like you would batch your social media, or you'd batch, if you have a blog, you might batch your blog posts, or maybe if you have like a handmade business, you're batching your customer orders. You're sitting down, you're not just doing them one by one, you're sitting down to work on them because it's going to be more efficient. You're going to get more done that way, and you're more likely to get it done when you designate specific time for it, right? Well, I actually apply these principles to both the meal planning process as well as the meal prep process. So it ends up saving you so much time, so much money, and it helps you be able to cook just 1 to 2 hours a week. And then most importantly, know exactly what to make. I don't know about you, but before I did this process, I could get lost for literally hours on Pinterest looking up recipes and then still have no clue what to make. So we're going to eliminate all that. We're going to eliminate that overwhelm. And you're going to lose up to 12 pounds a year without even trying, because again, we're cooking at home. We're making the healthy choice the easy choice by being organized instead of relying on willpower. No joke. There are literally times that I would have craved something that was not so good for me, but I already knew I had a healthy meal, that I just set out from the freezer, that all I had to do was stick it in the oven. And so I literally just chose the healthy thing because it was the easy thing. And that's really the point of today's training is I want you to take away giving all the credit to willpower and put it back on organization, because that is something that's within your control.